What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of For the Love of Wrestling. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade of Wrestling, JJ Williams. How is everyone doing this evening? Hope everybody enjoyed tonight's episode of Raw. It was definitely a good one, an interesting one. I see Walters in the chat. I see Safet's in the chat. Emmanuel agreeing that it was an interesting Raw. Matt saying everybody smash that like button. Absolutely. So let's get into it here, shall we? Tonight's episode came to us from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and everything. And before I get too deep into it, I do want to take a moment and apologize that there hasn't been an episode since last Monday. Situations arose beyond my control, but in the words of Eric Bischoff's theme song, I'm back and I'm better than ever. Like I said, tonight's episode came from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and it kicked off with Wade Barrett and Joe Tessitore welcoming us to Raw. They then proceed to hype up the card, including the Wyatt Six versus American Made, and they show us a video package of how we got here, which I gotta say was kind of cool going back and reliving some of that. Opening contest is an 8-person mixed tag team match as American Made, Chad Gable, the Creed brothers, Julius and Brutus, and Ivy Nile, take on the Wyatt Six, Eric Rowan, Dexter Loomis, Joe Gacy, and Nikki Cross. This match was sheer brutality. We had kendo sticks, chairs, trash cans, huge double team chokeslam from the Creed brothers, putting Rowan through a table. Later in the match, Rowan took a German suplex into the barricade, followed by a Brutus ball from the top rope to the floor, followed by steel stairs to the head. Somehow the Wyatts came back, though. Nikki Cross hitting a German suplex onto Chad Gable. Uncle Howdy came in, hit the Sister Abigail. Dexter Loomis got a frog splash in order to gain the victory for the Wyatt Six. Definitely a fun opening contest. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Then Finn Balor came to the ring to cut a promo directed at Damian Priest. Says Priest held him down. Says that he was the guy that made sure that Priest stayed champion. Says that every time that he got close to the championship, Priest was lurking with the briefcase and screwed him from becoming champion. He calls Priest out, and Priest comes and joins Balor in the ring. Balor then tells Priest that he turned him into a sidekick. Finn issues a challenge to Priest for a match at Bad Blood. Judgment Day then proceed to jump Priest, which brings out Rhea, still on a crutch. Liv comes out, chop blocks Rhea Ripley, targeting her already injured limb. Priest then sacrifices himself to save Rhea. Judgment Day go after Priest with the crutch. Crowd is chanting yeet, which brings out Jey Uso for the save. Solid segment all around. We then go backstage. We have Jackie Redmond with Braun Strowman, who says that he has to step up to Bronson Reed. No offense to The Miz. Says he's going to remind the world that a wounded monster is even more dangerous. Braun Breaker comes in. Says the only reason that Strowman is still standing is because he's never been in the ring with him. Bold statement by Braun Breaker. We then have a women's tag team title match as Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair defend the titles against the former champions, the Unholy Union, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Good tag action. Bianca carried the majority of the match, much as she has in late, but Jade was able to do her part in the beginning and the end, securing the pinfall for her team. We then had Jackie Redmond backstage with the LWO. Excuse me. She talks to Dragon Lee about his upcoming match against Dominic Mysterio tonight. Judgment Day crashes the interview, and Rey Mysterio issues a challenge to Finn Balor for later on in the evening. We then see Bret Hart walking backstage. He will be out next. Joe Tessitore then introduces Bret, and he and Wade Barrett greet Hart in the middle of the ring. Bret says that nobody took more pride in being a champion than he did, especially being a Canadian champion. At this point, Bret is interrupted by the World Heavyweight Champion, the Ligne General Gunther. Gunther calls Bret one of his childhood heroes, acknowledges that Bret is the best that there was, but Gunther is now the best there is and the best there ever will be. Says Bret will always be number 2 to his all-time favorite, Bill Goldberg. This brings out Sami Zayn wearing a Johnny Gaudreau jersey. Rest in peace to Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau. Sami talks up Bret, and Gunther says Sami isn't in his league or Bret's league. Gunther says the answer is still no and walks away. Bret calls Gunther a coward. This gets Gunther fired up, and he and Sami proceed to brawl in the ringside area. I do want to just take a second to touch on the Johnny Gaudreau jersey. Those of you that don't know, Johnny and his brother Matt were killed by a drunk driver a couple of weeks ago. Very sad. Johnny Gaudreau, former hockey player, was originally drafted by the Calgary Flames, I want to say back in 2011. So it definitely hit the Calgary crowd tonight. Nice touch of Sami to wear the jersey. And again, that Goldberg line from Gunther, that was a sharp dig. Those of you that follow Bret Hart in his interviews, he has nothing nice ever to say about Bill Goldberg. So for Gunther to call that his favorite wrestler, definitely a nice little dig at Bret there. We then had Pete Dunne and Braun Breaker backstage. Braun says he didn't know what to think of Dunne when he ran with Sheamus and started to tease, what was your name then? And Braun says the worst thing Pete can do is convince himself that he can beat Breaker in a fight, because he can't. Once Braun leaves, Sheamus runs in to get some revenge on Dunne, gets his shillelagh back. Next match is Dominic Mysterio versus Dragon Lee. Dom gets the victory. Dinner was going on at this point, so I didn't get a whole lot of notes and details on this one. I do apologize for that. I usually try to have a little bit more information and details when it comes to the matches, but I was over in the kitchen getting my plate and missed a good chunk of it, but I was able to kind of half pay attention, which is all really needed because you knew Dom was getting the win anyway. Backstage, Jade and Bianca are confronted by Damage Control, who say don't get used to having those tag team titles. We then get a Johnny Gaudreau tribute, courtesy of Jackie Redmond. 6-woman tag team match. It is the Pure Fusion Collective, Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler, and Zoe Stark versus Zelina Vega, Lyra Valkyria, and their special partner, Natalya. Good match. Again, no real shock here. Natty got the submission via the sharpshooter, while Zelina had a Boston Crab locked in, and Lyra had the Canadian Maple Leaf, or a single leg crab, applied to the other members of the Pure Fusion Collective. I will say I was really expecting Natty to turn heel here. Whether it was during the match, post match, the last time we saw Natty, she gave us the enough is enough and it's time for a change line. Plus, you figure the fact that Natty has been in a trio with Shayna and Sonya in the past. It would have been a nice little callback to throw her into the Pure Fusion Collective. Then you could have 2 tag teams. Maybe do Natty and Shayna and Sonya and Zoe. It could have been another Damage Control all over again, but with women who are actually, skilled in submissions and everything. It would have been a solid move. We then go backstage with Lyra, Zelina, Natty, and Uncle Brett comes to pay his respects. However, the segment is interrupted by Drew McIntyre's entrance. This actually pissed me off a little bit. I wanted to see more of the Brett and Natty interaction. I feel like we could have held off another 30 seconds or so on Drew's music instead of abruptly cutting away from that segment to Drew. Drew came to the ring and cut a promo on Wade Barrett about how he's disappointed that Wade stopped Drew from beating Punk's ass last week. Pierce comes out and he makes the announcement that we've all been expecting, we've all been waiting for. Punk versus McIntyre 3 at Bad Blood in Hell in a Cell. Then had The Miz and Xavier Woods backstage. Again, kind of missed most of this. Kofi comes in and tells Woodsy that next week they have a tag title opportunity. We then had Finn Balor versus Rey Mysterio. Balor does not give a shit here about wins or losses. He's out to prove a point as he ends up getting disqualified while having Mysterio in a submission while tied up in the ropes. We then go backstage. Jackie Redmond, this time with Ilya Dragunov. Dragunov says he almost didn't get this opportunity because of the Judgment Day. And now that he has it, he's going to have to dig deep. Braun Breaker interrupts once again and says that he's already beaten Dragunov and has no problem beating him again. Jey Uso comes by and the camera follows him as he makes his way to the ring for the main event for the evening, which is a fatal 4-way. Winner gets a shot at the Intercontinental Champion Braun Breaker. Main event Jey Uso versus Ilya Dragunov versus Pete Dunne versus Braun Strowman. Hard-fought contest here, but no real surprises, unfortunately. Bronson Reed shows up to attack Braun Strowman. Jey Uso gets the win. The only real surprise is that there was no Sheamus coming to get him some of Pete Dunne after the earlier backstage attack. Otherwise, I think Stevie Wonder could have seen that Jey Uso was going to get the victory here, which in fact he did. All in all, I think it was a very solid episode of Raw. We did get the announcement during the broadcast that beginning October 7th and going through the end of the year, Raw will be 2 hours again. Holy hell, thank you, Jesus. I know we'll be talking about that this week on the Saturday Shenanigans, so make sure you tune in for that and get all of our thoughts on that. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, Gacy barely fit in that trash can. That spot cracked him up. Opening match was fun to watch. Does every Bad Blood match need a stipulation or would it be overkill? I think it would be overkill, Walter. I mean, we've got the Hell in a Cell match, and honestly, I'm a little surprised Liv and Rhea isn't Hell in a Cell, but maybe over the next couple of weeks as we get closer to the show, they'll make it that. Bret the Hero Hart, that Goldberg line did hit hard. It was true tolling, and yeah, again, we knew it was going to be Natty. I put in the no DQ chat. It's the same line I used about Jey Uso. Stevie Wonder could have seen it was going to be Natty. Ooh, we're going to be in Calgary next week. I have an idea. Come on. Happy birthday to Kathy Kelly. I did not know it was her birthday, but happy birthday to her. Definitely. I think it would have had more impact, though, Emmanuel, if she did turn heel in her hometown. You know, it would have been a hell of a moment. And then, yes, Safed put it in the chat earlier. Rest in peace to James Earl Jones. You know, it doesn't matter what fandom you're a part of, this dude has done just about everything. Whether it's Darth Vader, whether it's Coming to America, whether it's playing Alex Haley in the Roots miniseries, whether it's Field of Dreams, The Sandlot, you know, so many legendary roles for James Earl Jones. Definitely sad news coming across today. I'm sure we will have something put together for him for the Saturday shenanigans. Definitely do a small tribute to him then. So make sure you guys tune in for that. All things go the way they're supposed to be. I should be here all week with the exception of Friday, immediately following the broadcasts. Oh, no Thursday either because I'll be joining the Simple Man Noah Foster for our Impact predictions for Victory Road on Friday. But I'll be here tomorrow for NXT. I'll be here Wednesday for Dynamite for sure. And thank you guys for joining me and tuning in. Greatly appreciate you coming back. And until tomorrow night, as WWE Week continues on USA, I am the Renegade of Wrestling, JJ Williams, saying thanking you guys for tuning in to For the Love of Wrestling, and I will catch you guys next time.